What is going on, guys? It's your boy Cesar here with a video here today. Bring you guys a fun After Effects sort of create your very own cool smooth transition screen, something. Regardless, you guys already clicked on the video, we're good to go. So if you guys don't know already, every now and again I like to go ahead and just give you guys some fun little transitions when it comes to just like whether it's like you want to do it for a client package, because for me personally I like to do it on Twitch, right? Or for Twitch packages for my clients, I kind of just add this little added value in there. It can of course bump your price up a little bit or verify a little bit more for people who don't have that kind of like luxury of like being able to broadcast or show why it costs so much, or regardless, right? So yeah, it's kind of fun and very cool. I call it smooth because I use the use of motion blur alongside with kind of having this little cool like subliminal logo in the background kind of revealed with it. Very simple kind of stuff that's going on here, but just another simple thing that you can just add for value once again. And yeah, it's super cool. So 275 likes on the video equals a secret down below, which will mostly be the project file as you guys see right here, which you can just kind of change the colors, all that good stuff, and you can put your logo in there, have fun with it, enjoy it. So let's just get this thing going right here, right now, and yeah, let's just do it. All right, guys, let's go and get this thing going right here, right now. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been looking at this for like 2 hours now, I just haven't recorded the video. But the more I look at it, the more I'm liking it, and it's just like one of those good things, and I'm kind of feeling good about it. So, okay, so to get this thing going, of course, I'm gonna go to composition, new composition, and add myself the numbers 1920 by 1080 on height and 60 frame rate. You're good to go. You're gonna press OK. Now we're in my new composition. Now the first thing, of course, is gonna be the shape that I'm gonna be using. So when it comes to like how you say motion blur, when I first kind of like went for it, I kind of use a simple kind of like a linear wipe. However, it doesn't actually work with linear wipe. You actually have to have the object itself that you guys choose to use moving in order to actually have a blur enabled and not just like use a linear wipe that kind of does the same exact thing. So what we're gonna have to do though is gonna have to take a nice little rectangle tool, right? We're gonna make a fairly big rectangle, okay? Now I already kind of like, I don't know if you saw, but I dragged it off the screen a little bit, as you can see right here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use this up here, which is a rotation tool. It's a W on the keyboard for the shortcut, right? I'm gonna take this right hand corner, hold shift, and that allows me, click, hold shift, right? That allows me to have a perfect 45-degree angle when I just kind of move it a little bit towards the left, right? So the next big thing is just to have this be right in the center or somewhere around the center where you can see both sides, being like, if not, of course, not filled in yet. So in that case, you just take this little part right here, right? Or this little kind of like the middle point here, the anchor point. You click it, you just drag it out. The same thing on this side here. And this will be making sure that this is just like full, like the entire canvas is full. And I want to kind of make sure I kind of have it just as much as I need, which is right here. Cool. So once you have a nice little rectangle, 45-degree angle, right, and of course you have it be the entire canvas filled, excuse me. The reason being, of course, is when you of course do your transition, you want to make sure you have enough time, or at least a frame or two, to go ahead and switch it off. And this is going to be where that kind of like stuff happens. You want to make sure it's fully, I guess you would say, covered, right? So now that you have this, you can just go ahead then and go onto your shape layer, and you can press P on your keyboard, which is position, and you just go ahead on the beginning of your time frame right here. Or how do you say, timeline, right? You just go ahead and click the stopwatch of the position, and it adds a keyframe in just like that, right? Very simple. Now, if you guys do not know already, for my composition settings at least, is at 4 seconds. So if you guys want to put that same thing in there, just type that in there and you're good to go. Okay, press OK. So the first keyframe is already put. So wherever I put this right here, right now, is exactly where it's going to be, of course, again. Now, just so you guys know, when you guys go up, right, you can see it's going to fill up fairly quickly. So if you want more of like a sharper angle, of course, you don't have to do 45 degrees. I just kind of do 45 degrees is because it's just kind of like satisfying in my eyes. However, I'm just going to take this, move this outside the canvas on the bottom right. I'm going to move in, I would say, around till, I would say like a second and 10th, right? Like how do you say this? 1 second and 10 milliseconds. There you go. Okay, right? And just go ahead and move it over here towards the top left. And that way it kind of goes fully through it, right? So you're gonna see, of course, it's a very simple sort of like transition going in and it coming out, right? So now that you guys have this, if I just zoom in for a second, okay, you'll notice that it's a very stagnant movement. As you guys, if you guys don't have any idea what comes to After Effects, you're gonna have like a little bit of an easy ease that's going on here. So this is very stagnant. You can see the motions is very kind of like point A to point B. Now let's kind of mess around with those points, point A to point B. Now, for whatever reason, if you guys don't see your keyframes, but you know you added them, press U on your keyboard, right? That's U as in like, okay, right? You just press it, it brings up your keyframes, right? If you press it twice, it brings it up like the full thing, the path and the exact location. I just want to press it once, please. There we go. And I'm gonna highlight these two keyframes, right click on them, go to keyframe assistance, then go to easy ease. That makes my little simple diamond shapes into like more of an hourglass. And if I go to right here, which is graph editor, I'm gonna click on that, and I'm gonna go ahead and just see this graph editor right here. Now yours might be different. A lot of people like to use easy ease in different ways where their graph is like completely different. I believe there's like four or three different ways. English is hard. Okay, right click. The one I'm using is called edit speed graph, so you want to copy that exactly as in what's checked right here. When you guys right click on the actual graph, that is what it is. Now if I go ahead and just highlight this point here, including this point as well, right, just like so, you'll see these little yellow kind of like handles come out as well. So this is saying, right, if I just move this here, if I move this little handle towards the right, you can say that it's not going to be there just yet. You can see you're moving that little handle more towards the right hand side. That means, excuse me, that it's getting slower. It'll be slow and it'll do really, really fast and then finish kind of thing, right? So you can see it's going to be slow, 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 and then fast and kind of finish it. So for me, I kind of like how that looks. I want to take this right one over here, move it, I guess to the left a very little bit, okay? Just like so. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of quickly run this out for a second. And you'll see it's going to be a little more kind of like not stagnant movement. It's going to be more of a fun and just like, it just looks a little more smooth in my opinion. Okay? Let's just wait till this renders, please. That shouldn't take that long, ever. Okay, right? You can see it's a nice little slow and then faster kind of movement. It looks really, really good. Now, one thing I want you to do as well is enable the motion blur. Right now, you can do that as well, because if you go to right here, it's called the motion blur simulate shutter duration. Make sure you click this box right here. That'll basically enable on that layer the motion blur. Now, to make sure you guys enable the motion blur entirely, make sure you guys go to the left of the actual timeline and make sure you guys do enable motion blur for all layers and click that. And once you guys see that, this will actually then change as well. Okay, so you can see like how it gets a little more blurry. Okay, right now if you guys want to make sure it's not too blurry, I believe the default is at 180 degrees. If I were to right click and go to composition settings, go to advanced and then go to shutter angle, this is basically your motion blur. So the higher this number is, the more blurry it's going to obviously be. Now if I go like, if I'm just going to, for the, you know, whatever reason, I'm going to put it on 180, okay, press OK, this is going to be the default. You'll see it's very, very, very blurry. I would then make sure you guys go ahead and go to your composition settings, advanced, and make sure you change this to around 80, which I had it before, which I believe is a good number. You guys can of course lower it if you guys wish to, but I'm gonna go with 80 and press OK. Right? So you can see, now if we do this once again, it'll render out with like a nice little simple blur on it. And of course, when you put multiple different colors in it, it'll just look really, really nice and smooth as well. So once again, that's exactly what we're gonna do next, is put the multiple different colors in it. I had three different colors. One was a black, one was a more of a grayish tone, and then one was, I mean, I can show you this, right? One was more of a blackish color, grayish tone, and nice little simple white kind of color right there as well. Now the logo I have in here as well can also change colors if you guys wanted to see, right? You can also change colors if I just go to here. It doesn't have to be this white, the same white as this. It can be any color you guys want to, and it'll just kind of go behind that actual white layer, right? So I think that's pretty freaking cool, just so you guys know, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and take this first layer, right? This is gonna be our, let's rename this to black shape, okay? Control C, Control V, this will make a duplicate of our black shape, right? I'm gonna go ahead and rename this one. This is gonna be our gray shape. Okay, shaper, whatever. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is, since this actual timeline for this layer right here, the keyframes are hidden, press the U on your keyboard, of course, to bring them up. I'm gonna take this one and move this back a little bit. You can see my blue line is indicating where that shape is. You can see it's gonna be more kind of like following it, right? That's what we want. Okay, so on this little gray shaper layer, okay, we're gonna go to the word fill, right? In effects and presets, we wanna take this fill icon little thing here, the fill word, drag it onto gray shaper, right? And I'll bring in the actual color. I'm gonna do this for the same thing for the black shape, right? So this black shape one, I'm gonna change this color by just simply going into the effects tab here. If you're on the project tab, just move over to the right, okay? Go to your color. I'm gonna change mine to like a nice little simple, like a darkish blue, right? Or I'm gonna get a blue, and I'm gonna go like a little further down just to get around this little part right here. It'll be basically black, but in a way it'll have a little bit of a blue tint in it. Press OK. Right? And I'm gonna do the same thing with the red. I'm gonna make this nice and gray. My gray is gonna be like an offset blue. You can see my hex codes down here if you guys wanna change them and kind of match them. I'm gonna say right about here is pretty good for okay. So you can see, if I were to scroll through the timeline really quickly, you can see the black layer is being followed by the gray layer. If you don't want to follow too close, of course, you can move this more farther down. It'll follow more farther back, right? I'm gonna do the same thing once again, Control C, Control V, and this is gonna be my white layer, my white shape. I'm gonna go ahead and take my fill. It should be already on there, by the way, because we made a copy of it, right? I'm gonna take my color, and I'm gonna go ahead and just use a nice simple offset white with a little bit of a gray, or excuse me, a little bit of a blue hue to it. Once again, the hex codes are right down here if you guys want to go ahead and make sure you guys can copy them if you guys wish to. But once I have this, I'm going to take this, U on my keyboard to show the actual keyframe, move it, and I'm going to say right about there, and you'll be able to see that when I scroll through, you'll have the black layer come in first, right? The gray layer following, and the white layer just following as well. And you'll see you have you have plenty of time when the actual canvas is fully, filled, right? To, of course, change your scene, and then it'll come and just kind of gets rid of it. Now, for me, I'm going to personally say I want my black layer to kind of lead a bit, like a lot further. So I'm going to put this completely up, like a little bit further, right? I'll take this one, move this a little bit down here, right? So I want to make sure I kind of have it just enough to kind of have like the black layer be kind of fully seen first, right? And then those other ones come through, and I think it looks pretty good like that. Let's just let it render for a second. Okay, perfect. I'll just restart it, right? Okay, I definitely like that. Very smooth, like I said. It's going to be a very nice, smooth transition. Now, if you guys, of course, want to mess around your keyframes a lot more than I'm going to, but for me, I'm going to say this is pretty good for my sake, and I think I'm fairly happy with that, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very clean. Very, very simple clean. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to my project. I'm going to go into my logo here. This can be a substitute at this point right now. It can be a substitute for your, I guess, text that you want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of like alt out, right? By the way, alt scroll is how you guys zoom in really quickly if you guys see me doing it. And if I hold space, that'll have the hand tool so I can grab and kind of move around, right? I'm going to just hold alt and shift, take one of these anchor points, and just simply move my mouse towards the left. That's what make my nice logo nice and small. Perfect. Yep. That looks really good. Okay, cool. So, right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to quickly mask this actual logo in here. And of course, to make it kind of like almost seem like it's appearing while the actual screen is going through. And that'll be the last part of the tutorial, and we should be good to go. Let's just do it. Alright guys, now for the quick little sort of mask tutorial here, it's going to be very simple. Whether you're using a text or a PNG, in my case I'm using a PNG, I'm going to go ahead and go to my actual PNG, have it selected, make sure you have your pen tool also selected, and now what you're going to do is go through your actual timeline and make sure right before where your interaction between, of course, a logo or text and this little simple sort of like screen stuff we just did, right, you scroll through, right where it starts touching is basically where you want to kind of stop and say, this is where I need to be at, right here, okay? So, now you have your pen tool selected, also your, of course, PNG selected. You want to go ahead and click on the actual canvas and follow this simple little line that's going on right here. That'll make sure it kind of cuts out very evenly and nice and clean, okay? And I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. If you hold Alt and scroll wheels, how you zoom in and out, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and just make myself like a weird trapezoid. For whatever reason, I like the trapezoid shape, okay? And you'll notice once the actual path completes and it closes, you'll notice that the only thing you can be seen on the logo is what's on the inside of the path. Now, for whatever reason, for future reference, when you do this once again in another world, right, if you go down to your masks and go to mask 1, okay, and you want to go to add, and if you want to see what's on the outside, you press subtract, and then if you press subtract, only thing that actually shows is what's on the outside, and what's on the inside is what's disappeared. So if whatever case, that might help you guys out, whatever, but I'm going to be keeping it on add in this case, but just so you guys know, okay? So, the one thing I have to actually have a keyframe is the mask path. So you select on this just like so, okay? Now, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and just take this actual shape. So this is interacting right here, only has a little bit left. I want to move this towards the bottom right just a little bit, just so you can't see it, just like that, okay? Now, once I have this, I'm going to go ahead then and take my scroll. I'm going to scroll through just a little bit, go over here, and move it towards the top left, just like so, right? And you're going to have these two little keyframes, right? Okay, so if I just go through, you'll notice that it's pretty, I mean, that's pretty good. I'm not like super mad or sad about that. Yeah, so if you want to get it even smoother, one thing you might have to do is go to this black shape here and mess around with the easy ease, just in case you can't get like a good, like you can see it's not following completely. I'm not going to be able to follow it completely unless I take this and kind of move this out a little bit, right? And what I do is move this out a little bit here. And I take these two, highlight them, and keyframe these, or easy ease these, excuse me. Highlight them, keyframe assistance, easy ease, go back to this graph editor, go into here, right? So right now it's not shown. I want to go through a little bit more. It's shown right here. I'm going to take this, move it towards the right, just like so. Oops. There we go. Go through a little bit, and now it's being shown. This little sliver is being shown, but I think that's okay. You'll see this little sliver, right? And then this will kind of go through. If this wants to be faster, you just take this on the right-hand side, move this towards the left, and make this fairly kind of even to when this kind of shows. I think that's pretty freaking perfect. Cool. So you can use easy ease, then of course kind of I guess you'd say make the timing a little bit better. Of course, as you guys know, the black background is not quite, how do you say, just simple stagnant movement. Okay, so you can see that. That looks pretty good. Just like boom, boom, boom. It reveals itself for a little bit, and then of course then goes away. It'll go behind the actual white shape. So of course, if you want to go behind the white shape by now, we want to take this mask here, or the PNG in this case, take it, move it right below the mask, the white shape, excuse me, and you'll notice that you're gonna see it, boom, and then they're gonna go right through, or the behind the white shape. Now, if you want color, of course, effects and presets, fill, you drag it onto the PNG. I'm gonna use, let's use a cool color. I kind of like that one, or the orange. Oh, we're going orange. Hell yeah, that looks really good. Cool. So you'll see it, right, when it kind of flies by, right? You'll see it for a little bit of a second, and it's going to go right behind the white shape. But right at the end, you'll notice, of course, it's still there. So what you're going to have to do is right near the end, right about here, right before you start seeing it, make sure this path right here, under here, mask, path number 1, make sure that this path right here, right, is moved towards the bottom left once again, and you'll see, right, boom, once it gets around here. I don't want it to disappear just yet, so if I need to highlight these two, go back to graph editor, take this and move this towards the left, or excuse me, more towards the right, right? There we go. Let's go through. Boom, it's perfect, it's perfect, it's perfect, right? It's not, I don't want this to disappear until this goes behind, right? So if I go 1 keyframe, that's perfect. And then once I get down here, it should be gone, and you're good to go. Heck yeah, sweet. So if you guys want to render this out, you can move this right about here. Press space bar, and let's just give this a little render. You'll see, of course, our little, how do you say, our screen kind of comes through, and it's going to be your logo being shown, and the logo is now disappeared alongside what's going to be behind it is going to be a new scene, and you're pretty much good to go. Freaking super nice, super smooth, and it's like a nice little simple way to kind of just also subliminally put your logo in there as well. Now, for the render settings, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to, how do you say, composition, add to render queue, just like so, please. Okay, now with the best settings here, I'm going to change these best settings to nothing, I don't believe. This should all be the same. Unless you want to use a specific frame rate. We already had a 60 frame rate, so that's pretty good. I'm going to press OK. I'm going to go to the output module here, and I'm, of course, change it to AVI, right? On the AVI, make sure you have your channels change to AVI, English is hard, RGB plus alpha. Now, if you guys want to, I'll give you guys a different codec. I can't remember it on the top of my head right now, but when you guys use this codec, the file size will be smaller, so when you use it on OBS as a stinger, it won't lag. I will give you that. If I don't give you that, please remind me. I just have to ask someone what it was again. I apologize, I don't know it right now, but you'll have it, no worries. Okay, right, for now, AVI is pretty much fine for when it comes to video editing, but when it comes to OBS, I know you're gonna have trouble if it's super, super big, but we'll fix that, okay? AVI, RGB plus alpha, you press OK, of course, you put your output module to something else, and you're good to go, and you're good to render it out, and you're set. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video here today. As you guys always know, of course, 2 to 75 likes is a video project file. Yeah, I think this is a pretty freaking dope one. It's a pretty smooth one. I've used this process. I'm going to be using it for myself because, of course, I needed another transition. The other one's getting kind of boring. But yeah, without being said, that's pretty much done. I hope you guys enjoy. Talk to you guys later. Customizable HQ out. Don't forget to keep smiling, stay positive, and stay freaking productive, guys. Later. Much love. And yeah, it's time to sleep. Later. Peace.